All right, today we've got the long-awaited for gardening update. We are transforming this ground, this uninhabitable ground that is terrible for growing because of close limestone, sand, rocks, many different things. And we're taking all of that and we're transforming this area to a habitable ground that we can actually grow in. So I've made some videos about it in the past in this progress, but here's where we're at now. Okay, for reference, our first growing day here is May 1st. Today is now May 31st as of filming, and this is where we're at. A lot of the stuff that we've done wasn't started in the ground. It was started in the greenhouse, and we did that through soil blocking. I'm going to show you some of the differences that we've seen from our soil blocked plants to the plants that we, in the same environment, same soil and everything, were grown in pots and then planted in the ground. There's a significant difference, and I would love to show you that while we are also... cat. While I'm also giving you a tour and giving you some specific examples of the stuff that we have going on in the ground, because there's a few different methods that we've approached this with. We've approached it with raised beds, and some of those raised beds are made out of rock, while other raised beds are made out of wood. We have mounds of just wood chips, and some of these wood chips are older than some of one of the other rows that I have, which is a newer pile. I'm going to give you a look at both of the insides of those and describe what method I went in planting into the wood chips, because I'm not just planting directly into the wood chips, I'm adding a medium inside of the ground in order to plant the plants in. And the other thing that we've done, this looks like a wood chip pile, but it's not. It's different than those piles that I previously showed you. Those are strictly wood chip based and medium inside of there, then planting it. Well, again, we'll show you that. These are much different. This one is done by building up a mound of 2-year-old cow manure and hay, along with a little bit of other things and mushroom compost. Then after that's done, we plant everything in the ground, and then over that we put wood chips in order to help maintain moisture and keep the soil cooler and keep the ground from evaporating too quickly. And that's similar to what we've actually done on this side, where we have some raspberries. I'm going to give you a full tour of all the stuff that we have growing, but I would just want to show you our approach at planting in the ground, because we took a few different approaches, and this is a good way to see kind of what works best in my situation. Now, what I've done in here is a lot similar to what I just showed you with the previous mounds. Inside of here, it's just organic material, whether it be cow manure or many other different stuff that we've chose to grow in here, especially mushroom compost. We have witch hazel and a few other things, and they're all growing in it's basically a raised bed, kind of, that is in a circle. And this way, like, if the tree starts to grow, it can still access the ground underneath it. Now right here is what I'm talking about, how we built up a mound of growing organic material, brought it all, piled it up. This one we've piled up a little bit higher and denser because we're going to be putting figs in here. Then once this is done, we're going to be covering this entire thing with mulch. I'm going to bring in some of the rocks that we have around our property and kind of line this almost as if it's a raised bed, but the big purpose for having those rocks surrounding it is just because we're on a hill and there's a lot of rain that happens here in Tennessee, and this will stop help stop any erosion that goes on, especially at these lower parts of the hill. The wood chips that we have actually work pretty well at helping against a lot of that erosion, because we had historic flooding here this year in Tennessee, and with that, these mounds that we have that are pretty much purely wood chips, they were able to withstand the weather. And even with how much flooding that we've had, these are pretty much they're basically untouched. They had some small parts where the water would come down here, get in between the rows, and at the base of the rows, like right in this area, it kind of built up like a mound a little bit, almost as if it chipped away, barely. But that's historic rain that we had, and it was fine. Okay, let me show you the plants that we have, and then closer to the end of the video, we're going to go and dig little parts away from each of these mounds to show you what's actually inside and how everything looks. Especially from these raised mounds that are just wood chips. I'm going to be showing you some of the more broken down versions, the wood chips that were sitting the longest versus the wood chips that were sitting newer. So some of these, three of the rows are 3 years old. Three of these rows are 1 year old wood chips that have been sitting around, while the other row, there's one last row, they were fresh new wood chips that were here, so we could see the breakdown difference between them, and I expect that the 1 year old breakdown rows are going to perform a lot better than the fresh wood chips. Now, right before we go, we have a water line coming in that isn't fully up yet, so I'm planning on getting water to water all of these rows automatically, but we're not there yet. And all of this is water that's rainwater coming off of my roof of my house. I have a metal roof, and all that water is being collected in a rain barrel, then running downhill down here, and I get very good water pressure. So this is strictly water coming straight out of the ground, straight from those rain barrels. There's no pump or anything. That's the water pressure I get, just straight from the tubes. Nothing else, no additives. All right, in our first bed, we've got a bunch of zucchini right here. I am getting those squash bugs that I need to handle. You could see them right here. And they're gonna start killing this plant because I see them starting to kill this other squash over here. They've burrowed on the inside of it, which is what it looks like they're trying to do over here. At least I assume that's what they're trying to do. So I got to take care of that pretty soon. In that same bed, we have a bunch of carrots, which I'm getting ready to start thinning. Once I see some carrots, I'll start thinning them all because I know this is pretty thick. We've also got some big marigolds. Hopefully they're going to sprout, they're going to flower pretty soon. And then three types of basil. So that's the regular Genovese basil, the Italian basil, and then this one is called holy basil. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the holy basil. You can see a big difference between them. These are a little bit more fuzzy, and they're not as shiny, and their flowers are purple, while the Italian basil is very shiny, and then you get white flowers off of them. This one I just cut so I could hopefully encourage it to grow a little bit more. This is purple basil, purple Petra basil, and I have even more basil growing, but that's what I have. And unfortunately, I have more of the basil that I don't like versus the basil that I do like. This basil, the best way to describe the taste of holy basil, apart from the regular basil that most people are familiar with, it's like a citrusy or minty version of basil, which makes it a little bit weird because if you're used to basil, having that little bit of citrus in it, it's just a little bit of something that you're not familiar with. I've heard that it's really good in teas. Haven't tried it yet. Something I want to do. I'll probably cut some of this out and then let it dry in the greenhouse. I'll try it in a tea next. But just to eat, straight off the plant, not a big fan of it. On the other hand, eating straight the regular Italian basil, there's just something right about it. Now over here, we got this one just for our kids to do their own thing with. They chose beans, and they love coming over here and picking their snap beans, sugar snaps. They're very good. I love these also. They chose really well. And then they put some lettuce down the center of it. What I did for this bed is I put up these stakes just from cedars that we have around the property, and I put hay bale twine because we end up with too much of it as the medium for them to climb up. So I think it turned out really great. Now, something fascinating about this bed, it's all made out of rock, and what I had done last year is I scooped a ton of clay without realizing I was actually scooping clay and putting it directly into this bed. And then I put peas inside of here to help break up that clay once I realized what I had done. Things didn't go so well, But then I loaded a bunch of wood mulch over all of this, and I let it compost down, break down over the summer, over the winter and into the spring a little bit. Actually, over the summer even, last summer, then fall, winter, and then springs when I planted in here. And the ground seems so much better. The fact that the peas were able to go down and break up the soil a little bit, and then just the compost and the raining, it's really helped break up a lot of that clay and make it a lot more balanced of a soil. I think that was a bee that just flew at me. The problem I'm having, these bees I caught from a swarm, just a swarm out in the open. They're not the nicest bees. I've been able to go up to my bees in the past and be right in front of their opening of their hole. No problems. Right there, because I'm so close to my beehive, which is right there, they'll guard this area. So it's been a bit of a problem. Gosh. Okay, sorry, I just ran away. It started warning me by coming into my face. So I need to move those because it makes working at that part of the garden very unenjoyable. Whew. 4 of them just chased me out of the garden. See the greenhouse? That's where I just was. They wouldn't leave me alone. So I just ran out of the garden. Whew. The problem with those is I've been stung enough now, not specifically with these, but I'm starting to get a reaction to bee stings where I swell up. So it's unfortunate because I'd never wanted to wear a bee suit. So I got stung a little bit too many times, I think. So now I really don't want to get stung. Okay, let's see if the bees will let me back over there. I'm gonna move them very soon, maybe after this video is filmed. Now in this second bed, we've got a lot of different types of peppers. Serrano peppers, chili peppers. We have oregano down here. Rosemary. This is going to be Kajari melon, and I direct sowed some right here. I don't want to mess with it too much, but hopefully those pop up. Some onion chives, garlic chives. Then we have a bunch of parsley, which seems to be doing really well and tastes amazing. Then I have some more Kajari melon, loofah, Kajari melon, and hopefully and another loofah. Now hopefully, no, I know they will, but my goal is to have those go around this trellis. And I have a second trellis over there for the Kajari melon and whatever else is growing over there. Oh, and we even have a third one right here. Now that we're at our third bed, we have garlic and onions in here. The onions seem to be doing all right. Look at that. We just recently harvested some of them. We harvested the ones that bolted. So we got a bunch of flowers coming off of a lot of our garlic. And anytime that there's flowers on garlic, there's nothing that you could do. How they've grown, the bulbs are going to, that's it. They're just going to stay where they're at. There's no more growing. So you might as well pull them out of the ground and harvest what you can. Use the greens and use whatever bulb is there so that you can get something out of it. Or if not, leaving it in there is going to make it very susceptible to rot. And you can't really cure them like you could a full-grown onion. Maybe you can cure them, but they're not going to last that long at all. So what we did is we freeze-dried some, and we dehydrated them. So we're going to try to make a few things out of them, and the freeze-dried ones we're going to powder and then turn into an onion powder. Okay, those bees are way too much. I just got chased up to my house. If we're gonna keep filming, I'm gonna have to move them because they keep attacking me. bees have been very productive. So if you're not aware, the smoke just helps tell those guard bees, which is what kept flying at me earlier, that everything's fine. It gives them, well, it sets off a different emotional or physical response to them, where they're now too busy with the pheromone response of dealing with the potential fire because of the smoke, then they are throwing off pheromones saying, hey, there's an intruder. So they stop paying attention to me. And that's why they're not flying like crazy at me like they were when I was over in the garden. They're running out of room. That's why they're trying to build on here. So the bees are running out of frames, which I wasn't expecting because they're doing really well. And so they're trying to grow on top of the cover that I have. See that? This is new comb that they're trying to build on it. We don't want that. All right, we're gonna pull one out just to kind of look to see what's going on in here, because these have been so mean. I haven't even really been inside of here. So these bees are the meanest I've had, but they are the absolute most productive. So because I've never been in here very much, I've never been able to see the queen. And the last time I was in here, they were just establishing themselves in this hive. So I've never been able to find any babies. So I was worried that when I captured them, I didn't have the queen. So it looks like I see brood. So that's that little bump, those little bumps right there. That means there's babies laid in there. There's also honey up at the top on this side. The honey's right there at the top and it's capped. And they are making more comb, blank comb, for them to do whatever they want with. So I've been considering how I'm going to move these. Either move out all of the frames, or so that it's safe when I pick it up with the tractor, or move them all inside of here and just be very careful with the tractor. And I think what I'm going to do is just be very careful with the tractor, because they're so well established in here and everything's doing so well that I don't want to mess this up. So I'm just going to very gently pick it up with the tractor and move on. This part of the garden right here isn't going to be in their flight path anymore. So I hope that being far away from their entrance is going to give us a lot better, it's going to be better in the garden, and I'm not going to get attacked or chased out as much, because it's only when we're near the entrance that we get attacked or chased out. All right, we've now got them moved. The bees are not happy. Look, they're flying up in my face. This is the spot, I don't know if you can see them. This is the spot that it was just at. And these bees are all out foraging on their way back right now, and they don't know where to go. They will find, because the queen in the hive gives off pheromones, they will find them, because look, we're only right over down here. we move them down into this direction right here. A lot of the bees are following me, to be honest, so hopefully it helps them find their hive. So right here. Now, it's not level. I need to level it because a hive that's like this, the honeycomb is going to start to stick it to itself inside of here. Left and right isn't too big of a deal, bad, like in the shape of the frame, but up and down like this is a big deal. So, I mean, in the long way like this is a big deal. The other way like this isn't as big of a deal because the frames will connect together and all the honeycomb on the inside will connect together this way. And we want to keep it separate so that the bees have a path between combs. And when we go to harvest or check on everything, the combs are not connected. So when it's tilting like this, the combs are going to connect. Now I'm going to have to wait probably about an hour, and it's going to settle down over in that area. The bees are going to find themselves over here. They're going to stop attacking me over in the garden, the proper garden area, and hopefully just stay over into this area. Also, I'm really hoping that I didn't disturb them enough that they're going to want to swarm out and leave, or abscond would be the word. Now I'm going to stay in my suit and show you the rest. So this box we built last minute, all rocks that we had around the property. We put a bunch of spent hay and rocks all inside of here, and then we got a bunch of spent cow manure that was 2 years old. We threw it in the bottom of here, and then on top of that, as a top layer, we put mushroom compost. And inside of here we have a ton of calendula that just is growing so well. This is called toothache plant that's really not doing the best, and it's being attacked by those little pill bugs or roly-polies, whatever you call them. California poppy, which seems to be doing amazing. Zinnia, and we have even better ones, the California poppy. Right here, this is called hyssop. I could probably take my gloves off, to be honest. Look, I know this seems silly, and I would think it was silly too, seeing somebody in their bee suit while doing this, but I'm going to tell you, while I've been sitting here and just talking to the camera, not even since I've been over there, I've already been stung 6 times through the suit. Not actually me, but because I'm still so close over there, let's just play it safe. Okay, so right here is hyssop. Right here is it's kind of like oregano. It's called, I'm not going to say it right, marjoram, majoram, something like that. Some of you in the comments may know. Help me out with that pronunciation. A bunch of thyme, fennel. You can see my fennel right there. All right, they seem to be settling over here a little bit. I could still see them going crazy. If they come over here, I'll just throw the hood back on. But what else we have? This is what I really wanted to show you. So I've been growing stuff in soil blocks all year. I tested things to see the difference between what a soil block would be like and just growing in a pot. Here are some crazy differences that I've seen, and this is after transplanting. This calendula right here, this was planted at the same time, same soil, pot. This was in a pot, and I transplanted everything at the same time. This is in a pot. The exact same time. The only difference between this plant and another plant right here I'm about to show you is soil blocked. No transplant shock. Just get a picture of that plant right there. That was in the soil block. So conclusively, between transplant and everything else, this is a huge difference in how everything works, and even after transplant, it's just so much better. I've even read a lot about these California poppies, that they do not like transplant at all, and if you do, it's just they're gonna get hurt or they're not gonna do very well. But because these were done in soil blocks, I'm not having that issue. I was able to transplant them from here from the soil blocks into this position right here, and we're gonna walk through and show you even more of them. So here's another California poppy. Mixed in rosemary, marjoram, whatever that word is, thyme. Honestly, I have no idea what that is. Could be a weed. My wife came by and threw a bunch of just threw stuff all over the top of this. So it could be anything. This needs to go. This is catnip. It's like it's basically like a mint, so it'll just take over. So I need to be careful with that one. Some more California poppies. Calendula. That is a type of huckleberry, which I'm really excited about. That type of huckleberry right there is supposed to be able to be eaten off of the fruit, off the tree itself, or the bush itself, directly off of it without having to cook it. Now that's different because a lot of other types of huckleberry, they have to be cooked in order for them to be edible, and that's why we went for this one, because they said they're sweet and they taste great straight off of the plant itself. Now with a lot of the calendula that we've been doing so far, because you can see this plant is prolific, I've been deadheading them, not letting them go to seed, because a calendula, as soon as it goes to seed, it'll stop producing flowers for that year, and we really want a lot of flowers, and because we want to make teas out of them, so I have been deadheading them. These are close to the end of life, so what I'm going to do is just pinch them off, not let it go to seed, and then I'm going to let those flowers dry out. So here is what I've been doing with a lot of the dried calendula. I've just been leaving it on the rack itself because it dries out really well here on the inside of my greenhouse. And then I'll just throw them on to this plate once they're pretty much dry, so that I don't lose them down underneath, because once they dry out, like they were all this size, and then once they dry out, they get pretty small and they could fall through these pretty easily. And before we go back, I've been planting calendula throughout the entire garden, so it's everywhere. Here's another spot right next to the zucchini that I showed you earlier. All right, now back over to here. I want to continue showing you. Pretty much a lot of this is the same. Now, I've never actually had fennel before, and it's incredible. I cannot wait to try the bulb underneath, because just the leaves itself on top, so good. If you don't like black licorice, this is a black licorice taste if you've never tried it before, but I still think you should give it a try, because even in a... Okay, the bees are back. All right, all right. Okay, I just threw this back on real quick. Bees are back at me. I'm glad I was about to take this off. I'm glad I didn't. They are not happy. Now you can see the rest of these. Oh, there's 4 bees surrounding me. Wow. Okay, look, you can see them. They're not happy. My biggest fear... Now, I hate talking about the bees so much right now because I really want to talk about the garden. But my biggest fear with these set of bees is that once a few of them sting like this, they're going to call a bunch for a swarm. So, to get me. So that's why I'm taking it extra serious, because these really are... These are mean bees, and I've been around a lot of bees. These bees are really mean, which I'm totally not used to. I can normally be around Italian honeybees. I don't know what type of bees these are, but the Italian honeybees are what I normally have, and they're a lot more docile. These are not. Now, this is a tomato plant, and we got these seeds for free. We got them from Baker Creek because when you order however many seed packages or however much money you spend, you get this for free. And they are called tiny spoon tomatoes. And they get to be about this big. Now, it seems like a waste of space for some people, but they're so good. I'm talking like incredible. They're really sweet and they're really fun, especially if you've got kids around and you want to do them. There's enough for the kids to be able to pick, and they're prolific, and it doesn't feel like you're even taking away from the plant at all. Because sometimes I have some other tomato plants, and for the kids to go and pick all of them, they don't necessarily leave many behind sometimes. This one, they'd never be able to fully get through everything. Now back over to this side, we've got some cucumbers starting to grow. These aren't doing the best, and I think one of the biggest reasons why is because as soon as I transplanted them this year, the pill bugs are the worst. They're so bad, and no matter what I do to try to kill off some, there are hundreds and hundreds of them. So I'm pretty sure that with a lot of the plants, as soon as they get to a certain age, they send off a chemical or hormone or something inside of them that will tell the pill bugs to stop eating them. But if they're early enough, or they're early enough in transplant, that's when they're really susceptible to be eaten by them. And it gives a big problem. Every single year, if I'm not planting right or in the right spot, those pill bugs will have devastating effects on a lot of my plants. But luckily over here, we've got more cucumber growing. We've got a bunch more peppers. I had even more marigolds, but those little pill bugs killed more of them, and even more peppers. Now, I haven't topped my peppers yet. I'm considering doing that pretty soon. Like this one right now, if I was going to do it, I should do it now. Now let's go over to the part that's probably... Can you see the bee? You might be able to at least hear it. Yeah, it's going boom, 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 trying to hit my face. You could definitely see that. Go away. Now this is the part that you've probably been the most excited to see, and this is only wood chips, and these wood chips are about a year old. So I'm gonna go up close, stop showing my face inside of this bee suit as much, and we're just gonna go straight in. Now we've got a lot of tomatoes here, and some of these tomatoes, not doing the best. I don't know what it is this year. It could be because of how we're planted. Some people will say because the wood chips take all the nitrogen out of there, but I do supplement inside of here, and you can see it's still really wet in there. Look at that. So here is what I did. So the wood chips, let's go from right here. If we dig down right here, these are the 1-year-old wood chips, and this is only wood chips, and you can see it hasn't rained for maybe 3 days at all, and it's still really wet inside of there. And again, this is only wood chips right here. Right here, what I did is we took mushroom compost and other stuff, and we dug a hole a lot like you saw, like this, filled it really well, very hardy fill, and then planted the tomatoes inside of it. Not all the tomatoes are looking this bad. I would have hoped for them to be looking a little bit better, but they are getting destroyed by a lot of those pill bugs. I put other squash varieties in between just to sprawl out and grow. I'm getting some on here. So what we have is tomatoes. About this half over here, I think there's about 10 of them. Those are Ace 55. I've heard tons of good things about Cherokee Purple, which is what I've been growing in this area. I don't even remember. Oh, these are Golden Jubilee. I think I have some Roma tomatoes over here. And honestly, I don't even know what half of these things are anymore. I thought I would remember. I didn't put anything in the ground, but until I see the actual tomato, like this one's probably a Roma, I'm not going to know too well what they are. But this one, this row, and that row right there, those are all 1-year-old chips. The next row down, that is fresh chips, and we're going to go look at that one in a moment. But before we go, look at the strawberries. These are doing really great. So all these strawberries were done as bare root strawberries. And I didn't let most of these actually produce strawberries until recently, because I really wanted the plant to establish and get bigger and bushier without a lot of I wanted them to get bigger and bushier because I wanted them to focus on their green and their root development over the strawberries this year, because we get decently cold winters here and I want them to be able to last and produce every year. And I like this one right here, look at that, it's doing really well. And we're getting runners. We're just gonna let those go. All right, getting close to my hand now. Okay, they're off. All right, so this whole row right here, this is all June bearing. And then the rest are ever bearing. And we're not getting tons for the June. Well, that one's looking good right there. Not tons, but this year I did not care about the strawberries. I should get a ton next year. Now on this side, this is the third row, also tomatoes, and these tomatoes are doing a lot better than those other two rows. I have no idea the difference. Everything should technically be the same. The only difference is these were planted when the outside temperature was warmer, opposed to the first set I showed you over there. These were still inside of the greenhouse for quite some time, and then when we got to it, we started planting out here. Now here is the 1-year-old soil, the 1-year-old wood chip. We're gonna dig into here and show you it's still wet. It's really wet. But the compost process hasn't fully taken yet. So when it comes to stealing nitrogen from the actual plant, this one may steal a bit more of nitrogen from the plants that are growing due to the breakdown process of these wood chips. But the benefit is it's going to be stored for later. So doing it this way, I'm going to see a lot of benefit within 3 years. This is going to be one of the most awesome beds and prolific gardens spaces because of how I'm doing it here, but it's just not going to be the best for the first year. We have a bunch of different types of melon, cantaloupe, a bunch of different stuff. Here is more holy basil, and you can see it's purple. Some more calendula, not doing as well here. This was also done in a pot that I moved out here, and you can just see the total difference between the pot and the soil block. Bit more of a walk down. And then this part, hopefully those bees are gone. This part will be the last for now. This that I'm walking past right now, while I'm taking off this helmet, this was done inside of cow manure. Pretty much. Oh gosh, seriously? As soon as I took it off, I think you saw, hopefully you saw that and heard it. So, I'm just going to tell you this way. While being harassed by bees, this right here is all just straight cow manure, nothing else, and then wood chips on top. And so if we're going to compare the production of this one compared to just the wood chips from the fresh wood chips, I have some cantaloupe that I direct sowed in here versus direct sowing over there. This is doing a lot better. So right here, this plant direct sown, same as that last one that I just showed you. Whatever variety of cantaloupe or whatever's right here, it's doing way better. So there is some, yeah, look at these. These look incredibly good in comparison to that other place that we have over there. That's just wood chips and what was inside of there. So these are way better than what we see from this row. And that row is just wood chips and mushroom compost. While over here, all of these, especially this big one right here. Same stuff is planted, actually way later even, in direct sown right here. And these are doing tremendously better in cow poop covered with wood chips. And then tons of blueberries that are planted inside of here. And then we have, these are golden raspberries. We're gonna line the whole fence line with a lot of these things. And those golden raspberries are going to be, are planted in cow manure also. Then let me show you, there's only just a few more things up until the next spot. There is one more thing that we did. All right, hopefully those bees are gone. So there is one more thing that we did with different type of soil now, and that is right here. So what we did here is we kind of scraped the ground for what we could get here. Now if you want to see and you hadn't seen my other videos real quick, this is how bad it is. This is just rock right here. So the problem that we have is, look, it looks like there's soil and dirt right here, but then right underneath that could just be a rock layer like this. And so that is, it's like growing on concrete in a lot of these spots with just a little bit of soil on top. So we've had to build our own. So we scraped off what we could in some of the layers here. And then we filled the top with basically all the wood chip, the spent wood chips that we've had behind the barn for the past year and overwintered. Behind the barn that's been collecting all of the alpaca and goat and even a little bit of cow poop from there, which has contributed to this really nice looking soil. There's still some really big particulates inside of it, so we're gonna amend it just a little bit, but there's gotta be some really good stuff inside of here that's going to help with whatever else we plant. Mainly we're gonna put figs in here. And you can see how honestly it looks really rich and vibrant. And some of this is mixed in. You can see right there, that's been mixed in from underneath. Let's show you, we also got some witch hazel there. We've mixed in a bunch of other stuff. Whatever other extra seeds we've had, we've just thrown everything inside of all of these little areas. And we did the same thing around all of our fruit trees. But for the last thing inside of this garden for now, let me show you, we're really excited about too. Oh, actually there's two things that we're very excited about. So one of those is right here. Oops. This is called comfrey, Bocking 14 comfrey. If you don't know about it, do some research into it. It's really cool. It's got a really long tap root. So anything that it does, as it works its way through the soil, because even though there's rocks here, it will work its way through. It takes all the stuff that's really far down underneath, brings it up into its leaves, chop it, drop it, can go right here, and it'll work really great as a fertilizer. So we've got that in here. And then right here, this is Jerusalem artichoke. And then, this is another type of Italian squash that I just direct sowed in here. And then in here, underneath these wood chips, this is just cow manure that's been sitting around for a year. So honestly, I mean 2 years really. This should all grow so well in these. Now, if you haven't seen some of my other new videos that I've been posting, it's about fixing up this old 1985 Dodge that we just got. It works, it's in pretty good condition for, well, at least runs. The outside needs some work, and so some cosmetics need some work, but overall it's a dually, and I just built a bed for the outside so that I could bring so much more mulch and cow manure and everything that I need for this garden to be a lot more prolific, because I've had to be clever and talk to people in my community that will give me advice in some things that I could do here, because I didn't do this before. There's been 2 years where I've had a garden, and it was only those 4 beds, which turned into 5 beds, because I didn't know what to do. And the building those garden boxes just tend to be so expensive. So I didn't want to build them, and I was waiting on it. So coming up with this idea has just been, or being told about this idea really, just growing into wood chips has been so much better for us this year. So I know it comes with some of its challenges, of nitrogen stealing or needing to be like 3 years until it's good. But we got all these wood chips for free, and we wouldn't be growing this much food this year if it wasn't for doing it in the wood chip medium like this. There is another way to do it too. I've seen people do it in just hay bales, but I wouldn't be able to get free hay bales. I was able to get free wood chips. Now, if you really want to see how much this garden has changed, go back to some of my other videos. Check out the starting point and where we were just at the beginning of the spring, because we didn't even start till spring getting everything in. And thank you for going along on this journey with us, because I know some of you were curious on what to do for bad soil, or you can't grow, or it's too expensive. Well, we did most of this for free and then got soil to put inside of there. So it's something you could do too. There's actually also this last thing, so hopefully I could get out of this suit. Every time I take it off, get attacked again. So we also started growing inside of the greenhouse differently than we did last year. We put some more of those small tomatoes inside of here because the tomatoes did all right as long as we were making sure that we shook them so that they would self-pollinate. Got some more calendula in here, some zinnias, and some other stuff. And then we also even have a volunteer plant inside of here that I wasn't sure about, but there's a pumpkin plant. I'm pretty sure that this is pumpkin, and I see more bees. Gosh, this is ridiculous. Gosh. Well, pumpkin. But with that, I'm gonna go. I want to get out of this bee suit and let these bees calm down. Thank you for watching. See you later.